Hey everyone, Bandana here. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. And the day has finally arrived. The speculation was true. We are getting Dawn of War 4 from the creators of Iron Harvest. So, the rumours that have been swirling a little bit, especially the last few days, definitely came to fruition. So the game is being developed by King Art and published by Deep Silver, which means that the IP has changed hands and Relic is obviously not involved anymore. Yesterday we obviously got the trailer, which is playing in the background now, but we do have some other information about the game from various other news articles and indeed YouTubers. So the game will have 4 playable factions at launch. They are obviously the Space Marines, namely the Blood Ravens again. We will be seeing the Necrons, after they were teased at the end of Dawn of War 3 but never actually made it into the game since it was abandoned by Relic. Then we're going to have Admech, which are a popular faction on the tabletop and in the whole world of Warhammer 40k, but have never yet been in a video game, or, well, a Dawn of War video game specifically. They have been in other video games. And then, of course, the Orcs. I mean, could we have a Dawn of War without the Orcs being there? Probably not. Now, what I would say is do not worry if your favourite faction isn't there at the moment, because firstly, there are snapshots of the game with, for example, the Imperial Guard units in there already, and I expect they're just not fleshed out as a full faction for the game as yet, but expect that as DLC. And, well, let's be honest, we're probably going to see the Eldar and Chaos at some point as well, and then there's always the Tyranids down the line. I certainly think if the game does well on launch, they will be adding to this game with faction DLC. The game will once again take place on Kronos. The poor people on Kronos, they are having a terrible time of it. This is going to be set 200 years after the previous game. However, you will see familiar faces. There will be recurring characters from Dawn of War 1, 2 and 3. Don't forget that in the Warhammer 40k universe, everyone may as well just live forever until they are killed brutally in battle. Now, the developers, like the majority of RTS players, love a campaign, and it is one of the most memorable things about many RTS games. Red Alert 2, just as an example, is always the one that comes to my mind personally. But obviously everyone will have their favourite. The devs do as well. They set off with the intention to obviously have a Blood Raven campaign, because that's the standard for Dawn of War. However, as they went into it more, they expanded this, and there will be a campaign for every faction in the game. They will run in a chronological order, and decisions you make in the campaign will matter. Though I don't fully know the extent of how they will matter, in fairness. All in all, there will be over 70 campaign missions, which is absolutely bonkers. And of course, there will be other game modes on top of that, including Skirmish, Last Stand, and Multiplayer. For anyone who is sat there wondering what Dawn of War game this will resemble the most, the answer is Dawn of War 1. The developers see that as their aim and their guide. They are trying to make a true sequel to that original game, but obviously bearing in mind the story elements from the other games. The Dawn of War games were kind of a funny series, really, because Dawn of War 1 was very much a different style of play to some extent than Dawn of War 2, and then Dawn of War 3 was off the scale in another way. It's actually quite weird for an RTS series to do that, because if you think about Command & Conquer, the playstyle from Command & Conquer 1 to, you know, say CNC 3, let's not include CNC 4, but the playstyle was generally very similar. It had the same concepts, and there were little differences. And the same with, you know, StarCraft, very similar playstyles. But Dawn of War, I don't know what Relic were really thinking with it, but they've done the same thing to some extent with the Company of Heroes series. Each game has kind of had a slightly different playstyle to the last. And I know within that everyone will have their favourite, but it's an odd way to do an RTS game, to make such drastic changes to the style of gameplay between sequels. So hopefully this new team will stick to the form of the original game, as they've said they're trying to, because it is probably the most popular in the series, and well, obviously the new re-release or remaster has been quite popular as well. So fingers crossed for this game. I will obviously put up a video when we have additional news, and I have reached out to my contact at Deep Silver just to see if I can get any more information out of them for the time being, and hopefully details going forward. But thank you very much for watching. I will see you all soon. Enjoy the rest of Gamescom.